What's going on, Jerome's? You think that we could go a couple weeks, maybe some months, maybe some years, I'll be there for you, without just having to point out redonkulousness with Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. So, allegedly, Vikings fan, sure. Florio, that's not a thermos. Oh, yeah, I forgot Florio voted for Diamond Dan Campbell as Coach of the Year over Kevin O'Connell, even though he literally explained what the, not really rules, but guidelines for Coach of the Year are. Oh, hey, Dan Campbell, good job for winning the division, getting the 1 seed in the year where you're expected to win the division, get the 1 seed. Cool. Kevin O'Connell went 14-3 with Sam Darnold. That's all. That's all I'm saying, man. But Florio, does that daily show with Chris Sims, son of Boomer Esiason, and yeah, he's a grand poobah in the media, and we get comments like, "Well, why do you care what Florio says? It's all national media jabroni BS." Because the national media jabroni haircuts still sway public opinion. Joe 12-pack out there, gets off of work and just like, what's going on with the football today? I don't know why he talks like that. But checks out ESPN, NFL Network, Pro Football Talk on NBC, and that's where he forms the basis of his opinions of other teams. Like hardcore Vikings fans, like we know. Like we know the 4-1-1, we know what is up. But it's hard to keep the pulse on all 32 teams. And people still take their cues from the national media. So when we see malfeasance, we call out malfeasance. And there was definitely a little bit of that today. So our guy, Purple Persuasion. So Florio was on with Paul Allen, 9 to noon. And just said the most random word salad of complete redonkulousness out of left field. I'm just like, Purple Persuasion. Mike Florio predicts that if they bring Sam Darnold back on a 2-year deal, J.J. McCarthy will have to be traded. Not only that, Florio also says that there is a sense from people who are dealing with the Vikings that they don't know who's in charge and calling the shots. And TPP did a transcript of Florio flapping his gums on KFan. Because Florio. Because if they make a 2-year commitment to Sam Darnold, I predict J.J. McCarthy is going to ask to be traded. And maybe that's what the Vikings would want to do. Before the wheels came off in Week 18 for Darnold, before the chariot went back into a pumpkin, the thinking was, hey, wait a minute. We kind of stumbled into plutonium by accident with Sam Darnold. And that's true. And yes, even after the Packers game, we were like, what more do you want to see? Darnold's playing like a top 5 quarterback. But that's how bad the last 2 games were. And yes, that is important. That does matter. If the Vikings won a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, you're paying him $55 million bucks a year, and I don't even care. And trade McCarthy, get first round picks. That's how you reward a quarterback who, if Darnold played well, won you a Super Bowl. That's what happened. That's what would happen, but it didn't go down like that. So J.J. McCarthy is better than any of the quarterbacks in this year's class? Yes. If J.J. McCarthy was in this draft pool, he would be easily the number 1 quarterback and probably the number 1 overall pick. You get a top 5 pick for him. You go get some stud player at some other position of need. Win-win. Sorry, J.J. Stuff happens, and you're getting a fresh start somewhere else. Now, I know that there's all this rumor and conjecture about a multi-year deal with Darnold. Logically, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because if you're Darnold, why would you ever sign a multi-year deal with J.J. McCarthy in place? Now, that could be part and parcel of, hey, if I sign this, J.J. is going to get traded. But also, I don't see Darnold signing a multi-year deal that's below top of the market. Because what incentive does he have? Why would he ever sign a 2-year, $50 million deal when, hey, if I come in and have a phenomenal season, win the starting job where JJ gets traded, and then they have my rights next year for $25 million, why would he ever do that? It's ridiculous. Now, also, the Vikings obviously don't see Darnold as a top-of-the-market guy either because they would be freaked out about potentially losing him. They would have slapped the franchise tag on his ass, but obviously they don't see that, right? I think that if Darnold is back, it will be in a spot where he's tested out his market, and the 1-year, $50 million deal that may or may not be on the table, is on the table, then they go with that. But absent that, I don't see it. And the fact that all of the insiders are parroting the same talking points makes me think that it's Darnold's agent who emailed everyone. It's everyone was BCC'd on that email. The Viking, even though he was not franchise tagged, the Vikings and Darnold are working on a long-term deal. Baloney. Complete BS. And also, I mean, if the Vikings had any reservation about J.J. McCarthy or about his knee, Darnold would have been franchise tagged, and not only that, he would have been signed to a long-term deal already, right now. Like, all this hype and conjecture just does not make any sense, because although I feel like Florio being a national media jabroni haircut, I feel like early on you could give him the benefit of the doubt, but Florio's just been the jabroni who cried wolf one too many times. Like, all of the speculation during Jefferson's extension talks, oh, he could be traded here, he could be traded there. Oh, the Vikings were actually interested in trading up for Malik Neighbors and trading up for Justin Jefferson. Or, hey, remember all the, Kevin O'Connell. There's tension between him and ownership. Could the Vikings trade Kevin O'Connell? Because you remember, who was the only person talking about trading Kevin O'Connell? Who was the only person who was talking openly about the Vikings trading for Justin Jefferson? Who was the only person who talked about the Vikings trading for Malik Neighbors on draft night? Wonder what that is. And again, where are you seeing any other rumor or conjecture that the Vikings are going to have a multi-year commitment to Darnold and they're going to trade J.J. McCarthy? Nowhere. Nada. Nothing. It's almost like it's made up. Don't know. No. And also continuing, if they try doing Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 McCarthy's blah, blah, blah. I got to be honest with the audience. I'm not thrilled about it, but there's a sense from people who are dealing with the Vikings that they don't know who's in charge. They don't know who's calling the shots. So, I don't know, like, is that sour grapes from other people? Is that other people just trying to start ish? Or is this Florio just popping off? Who knows? But who's in charge? So, reportedly, when Kevin O'Connell signed his extension, it didn't have any changes to personnel control. So, one would think that Kwesi adofo-mensah is still in charge. But is it a spot where Kevin O'Connell, especially who did the interviews at the draft because Kwesi was dealing with an illness, is there something there? Is there not? I think that could be a legitimate conspiracy theory. But I don't see the Wilfs, especially with what happened with Spielman and Zimmer, not having a defined separation of church and state. Or if they were going to move on from Kwesi, I mean, it would be a little bit more straightforward of what's going on. Hell, maybe it is. Maybe everything is right in front of us, and Kwesi actually doesn't have an illness. Kevin O'Connell has full personnel control, and Kwesi just playing out the string and getting fired after the draft, which generally when teams make changes at GM, sometimes that's when it happens. Sometimes not after the season, because a lot of the legwork going into free agency and the draft has already been done, and then they make the change after free agency and or the draft. I don't see that. I think Kwesi gets extended long term, but I don't know, like, where else are you seeing that there could be some dissension in the ranks? Like, where is all the other insiders and rumors and speculation that's like, oh, we don't know who actually is controlling personnel for the Vikings. Is it Kevin O'Connell or is it Kwesi? Or like, oh, the Vikings could trade J.J. McCarthy if they work out data. Where else are you seeing this? So, like I said, it's really unfun. Just point out national media malfeasance, but I don't know. Just take everything with a grain of salt. Just know that Florio is a pot stirrer, someone who likes to stir the ish, and it happens. So take everything with a grain of salt. But again, I'm on this wall because Joe 12-pack is going to see this and be like, oh, J.J. McCarthy's getting traded. He's going to trade to the Titans for the number one pick. Actually, who would the Vikings take at number one? Oh, they tried to trade down, except it's not a great draft to do that. The Travis Hunter? Travis Hunter would be great. Mason Graham? Abdul Let's just double and triple down on pass rushing linebackers. Go ahead. But anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Florio. Yeah. Let us know. Comment section. You guys are the best. Skull production value.